He told me I was being paranoid, but his phone has had a passcode for exactly 3 weeks now. I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear me, and then I came out and apologized to him. She said I was controlling because I asked where she'd been for 4 hours with no reply. My own mother told me I was too sensitive, but something in that house has felt wrong for months. Hi, I'm Maya. On this channel, we analyze real relationship cases. Cheating suspicions, red flags, am I overreacting? Questions. Today we're looking at one of the most common and honestly, one of the most painful places a person can land in a relationship. That moment when you feel something is wrong, you try to say something, and the response you get is, you're being too sensitive. 4 cases, 4 very different situations, but the same question running through all of them. Is my gut right, or am I the problem? We're going to look at what's actually happening beneath the surface in each one, not to judge, not to take sides, but to understand the dynamic underneath the discomfort. If you have a relationship situation you'd like me to analyze anonymously in a future video, you can send it to the email in the description. Please remove real names, private details, and anything that could identify you or another person. This channel is not professional therapy. It's for relationship analysis and discussion. But your story may help someone else feel less alone. Let's get started with our first case today. He told me I was being paranoid, but his phone has had a passcode for exactly 3 weeks now. We've been together for 2 years. He's never had a passcode before, not once. 3 weeks ago that changed, and when I asked about it, he said he set it for work stuff. I didn't push it, but then I noticed he started leaving the room to answer calls. Last week I asked again, calmly. He looked at me and said, "You're being paranoid. Not everything is about you." I haven't brought it up since, but I can't stop thinking about it. Let's start with what's actually on the surface here. A 2-year relationship, no passcode ever until 3 weeks ago. That's not a small detail, that's a change. And when someone in a relationship asks a calm, reasonable question about a change in behavior, they're not being paranoid, they're paying attention. The visible problem is simple, something shifted. He put up a barrier that didn't exist before, and when she noticed it, he redirected the conversation away from the behavior and toward her reaction. That's worth slowing down on. Here's what's underneath this. When someone responds to a reasonable question with "you're being paranoid," the conversation stops being about the thing that was asked. It becomes about whether the person asking has the right to feel what they're feeling. That's a shift in dynamic. It's subtle, but it's significant. She asked a calm question. The response she got wasn't an explanation dash, it was a dismissal. Not everything is about you. That sentence doesn't address the passcode at all. What it does is make her the problem. Her curiosity becomes the issue. Her discomfort becomes evidence of her being unreasonable. And the result? She stopped asking. She went quiet. She's carrying the discomfort alone now. That's the hidden dynamic here. Not necessarily what's on the phone, we don't know that, but the pattern of how her concern was handled. When a partner's response to a simple question is to make the questioner feel irrational, that erodes something. Slowly, quietly, it chips away at the person's confidence in their own perception. So is the passcode itself a red flag? Here's an honest answer, not automatically. People do set passcodes for work reasons. Privacy exists in relationships, and it's legitimate. A passcode alone is not evidence of anything. But let's look at the full picture. It's not just the passcode. It's the combination. A new barrier that didn't exist before. Behavior changes she noticed. Leaving the room for calls, and your quarry and yachawai. And then, when she asked calmly, being told she was paranoid. The passcode might be nothing. The leaving the room might have an explanation. But the response to her asking, that's where this tips. A partner who has nothing to hide doesn't typically respond to a gentle question with "not everything is about you." That's not reassurance, that's a redirect. If this is a one-time thing, it could be a gray area. If this becomes a pattern where her concerns are consistently met with "you're overreacting" or "you're paranoid" then we're looking at something that needs to be taken seriously. If you're in a similar situation, here's something you might try saying calmly, at a neutral moment, not in the middle of a fight. I'm not accusing you of anything, but when I ask a question and the answer I get is that I'm being paranoid, it makes me feel like my concerns don't matter to you. I need to feel like I can bring something up without being made to feel irrational. Sometimes the most unsettling thing in a relationship isn't the thing that changed. It's being made to feel like noticing the change makes you the problem. Is she overreacting, or is the real issue that her partner's response left her with no safe way to ask the question again? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. Now let's look at the second case. I cried in the bathroom so he wouldn't hear me, and then I came out and apologized to him. We've been together for 3 years. Lately, anytime I try to have a serious conversation, he either shuts down completely or gets defensive and says I'm always starting something. Last month, I tried to tell him I've been feeling lonely in this relationship. He said I was being dramatic. I went to the bathroom, cried for 10 minutes, then came back out and told him I was sorry for upsetting him. I've been apologizing for my own feelings for so long, I don't even notice I'm doing it anymore. On the surface, this looks like a couple that has trouble communicating. He shuts down. She gets emotional. She said he called her dramatic. He says she's always starting something. It looks like two people who haven't figured out how to fight well. But I want to stay with one specific detail in this case, because I think it's the most important sentence she wrote. She cried in the bathroom, alone so he wouldn't hear, came back out and apologized to him, not for anything she did, for having feelings. Here's what's happening underneath this. She told him she felt lonely. That's not an accusation. That's a vulnerable, honest statement about her emotional state in the relationship. His response was to call it dramatic. When someone tells you they feel lonely in the relationship, and your response is to label that as dramatic, you're not engaging with what they said. You're shutting the door on it. And what happened next? She absorbed it. She went and cried privately, then came back and apologized for the conversation. She apologized for the discomfort of having asked for emotional connection. This is the hidden dynamic. Over time, if every attempt at emotional honesty is met with, "You're being dramatic," or "You're always starting something," the person on the receiving end learns to stop expressing those needs. Not because the needs go away, but because expressing them costs too much. What this does to a person, quietly, over years, is disconnect them from their own sense of what's reasonable. They start filtering everything through, "Am I being too much?" before they even open their mouth. Gray area or red flag? Let's be fair. Some people genuinely struggle with conflict. Shutting down during an emotional conversation isn't automatically malicious. Sometimes it's a learned defense, anxiety, or simply not knowing how to engage. But here's where the gray area narrows. This isn't one conversation, this is a pattern. Anytime she tries to have a serious discussion, the result is either shutdown or deflection onto her behavior. And she has now internalized that pattern to the point where she apologizes for being upset. The sign that this has moved beyond communication difficulty and into something more concerning is that one sentence. She doesn't even notice she's doing it anymore. When a person has normalized apologizing for their own emotional reality, that is not just a communication problem. That is a dynamic that has trained her to make herself smaller. This one requires 2 parts. First, something she might say to herself before the next conversation. "My feelings are not an attack. I don't need to apologize for naming them." And if she chooses to bring it up with him, something like, "When I tell you I feel lonely and the response is that I'm being dramatic, I stop feeling safe to be honest with you. I don't need you to fix it right away. I just need you to hear it." Here's the thing about this case. The question of whether she's overreacting almost doesn't apply, because she didn't even get the chance to overreact. She said something vulnerable, got told it was dramatic, then apologized for saying it. The real question isn't whether she was too emotional. The real question is, in this relationship, is there a version of "I feel lonely" that would have been received well? I want to hear from you. Have you ever apologized for your own feelings in a relationship and not even realized it until later? Comment below. Let's move on to the next one. She said I was controlling because I asked where she'd been for 4 hours with no reply. We've been dating for 8 months. Last Saturday, she went out with friends and didn't respond to any of my messages for 4 hours. I wasn't blowing up her phone. I sent 2 texts. When she got home, I said I'd been worried and asked if everything was okay. She told me I was being controlling and that I need to work on my trust issues. I don't think I have trust issues. I think 4 hours of silence when you know someone's waiting to hear from you is just inconsiderate. But now I'm second-guessing myself. This one is genuinely a gray area, and I want to be careful here, because it's possible to read this case 2 different ways, and both readings are real. On the surface, he sent 2 messages over 4 hours. She didn't respond. When she got home, he said he was worried. She called it controlling. Those are the facts. And depending on your personal history, your attachment style, and what you consider normal in a relationship, Your gut reaction to this might be very different from someone sitting next to you. Here's what's beneath the surface. There are actually two separate issues in this case, and they're getting merged into one that's worth separating. Issue 1. Is it reasonable to check in with a partner when you haven't heard from them for several hours? For most people, yes. 2 texts over 4 hours is not surveillance. It's not control. It's someone saying, "Hey, I was worried." Issue 2, the response he got. When he expressed concern, she didn't say, "I'm sorry, I lost track of time." She didn't address the concern at all. She labeled it, "You're controlling. You have trust issues." Those are 2 different conversations. The first one is about courtesy and communication. The second one is about his character. When someone responds to expressed concern by diagnosing the person expressing it, the original issue disappears and gets replaced by a new one, whether the person asking is the problem. That's the hidden dynamic here, not 4 hours of silence, but what happened when the silence was addressed. Gray area or red flag. For the 4 hours itself, gray area. People lose track of time with friends, phones die. Not every gap in communication is meaningful, but for the response, this is where I want to look more carefully. If this is a one-time reaction in the heat of a moment, it could simply be that she felt defensive and overshot. That's human. But if this is a pattern, if you're controlling or you have trust issues, becomes the default response every time he raises a concern, then it's not about this Saturday. It's about whether there's a safe way to name something that bothered you in this relationship. He said he's now second-guessing himself. That's a detail worth noticing. Not because being uncertain is wrong, but because the uncertainty came from being labeled, not from anything he actually did. For this situation, here's a possible way to frame a follow-up conversation, calmly, once the moment has passed. "I want to understand your perspective, but when I told you I was worried, I wasn't trying to control you. I was expressing that I care." When the response to that is that I have trust issues, it's hard for me to know what a normal concern looks like to you. Here's the question I want to leave open. 2 texts over 4 hours. A partner saying, "I was worried," is that controlling, or is that just someone who cares? And here's the harder version of the question. If the person you're with responds to your concern by telling you it's a character flaw, at what point do you stop expressing concern? And what happens to the relationship when you do? Tell me what you think in the comments. Now let's hear the 4th case. "My own mother told me I was too sensitive, but something in that house has felt wrong for months. My husband and I have been married for 4 years. Over the last 6 months, I've noticed he's become colder, shorter answers, less interest, almost like I'm a roommate now. I tried to talk to him about it twice. Both times he said everything was fine and I was imagining things. I mentioned it to my mother and she said I needed to stop looking for problems in a good marriage. Now I feel like I'm going crazy. Everything seems normal on paper, but I feel completely invisible. On the surface, this looks like a woman who feels disconnected from her husband and can't get anyone around her to validate that feeling. Her husband says everything is fine. Her mother says she's looking for problems. And she's left in that particularly disorienting place where the evidence of something being wrong lives entirely in her own internal experience. Because externally, as she put it, everything seems normal on paper. Here's what's beneath the surface. What she's describing, a gradual shift toward coldness, shorter responses, emotional distance, the sense of being a roommate, is a real and recognizable experience. It has a name in relationship dynamics, emotional withdrawal, and it's one of the harder things to address precisely because it doesn't look like anything dramatic from the outside. Nobody slammed a door, nobody said something cruel. He's just not there, technically present, emotionally gone. And when she tried to name that twice, the response was, "You're imagining things." That phrase is worth examining. "You're imagining things" is not a reassurance. It doesn't say, "I hear you, let me explain." It says what you're perceiving is not real. When someone consistently tells you that your perception of the relationship is wrong without engaging with what you actually said, it puts you in an impossible position because now you can't trust your own experience. You start wondering if you're the one with the problem. That's the hidden dynamic here, not just emotional distance, but the active dismissal of her attempt to name it. And then her mother's response compounds it. Stop looking for problems in a good marriage, which sounds supportive of the marriage, but is actually dismissive of her. Let's be honest about the gray area first. Relationships go through periods of low warmth. stress, work, exhaustion, unspoken things. Couples drift sometimes, and they come back. A few months of distance doesn't automatically mean something irreversible. But here's where this tips. The distance alone might be gray. But the response to her naming it, "you're imagining things," is harder to put in a gray area. Not because it's cruel, but because it leaves her with nowhere to go. There's no conversation possible when the starting point is, "this isn't happening." 2 attempts to address something and being told twice that she's imagining it, that's not one moment of defensiveness. That's a pattern of closing the door. Here's something she might consider saying, at a calm moment, not in the middle of a conflict. "I'm not trying to accuse you of anything, and I know you say everything is fine. But I need to tell you that I feel distant from you, and I need that to at least be a conversation we can have. I'm not asking you to agree with my perception. I'm asking you not to dismiss it. When everyone around you, your partner, your mother, is telling you that you're imagining the problem, it can make you feel like you're losing your grip on reality. But here's something worth sitting with. A feeling of emotional invisibility in a long-term relationship is not a small thing. It's not dramatic to notice that. It's not looking for problems. It's paying attention to the relationship you're actually in, not the one that looks fine on paper. Is she overreacting, or has she been talked out of trusting herself for so long that she no longer knows what a valid concern feels like? I want your honest reaction in the comments. 4 cases, 4 different relationships, but one thread running through all of them. In every single one of these situations, someone tried to say something. A worry, a feeling, a question, a concern. And the response they got made them feel like they were the problem for bringing it up. A new passcode, unexplained silence, a feeling of loneliness, a slow fading away. These aren't the same situation, but in each case, the person who noticed something and tried to name it ended up second-guessing themselves. And I think that's worth saying clearly. Noticing something in your relationship and wanting to talk about it is not a character flaw. It's not being paranoid. It's not being dramatic. It's not looking for problems. It's being present in your relationship. The question worth asking in any of these cases, and honestly in any relationship, isn't just what happened. It's, when I try to say something that matters to me, is there a version of that conversation that goes well? Which case hit closest to home for you? If you're going through a situation similar to one of these, or you have your own relationship story you'd like me to analyze anonymously, you can send it to the email in the description. Please keep it anonymous, no real names, addresses, or identifying personal details. I may use selected stories in future videos to analyze relationship dynamics, patterns, and red flags. This is not therapy, and I can't provide personal crisis counseling, but sometimes seeing a situation clearly is the first step toward understanding what's really happening. I'm Maya. See you in the next one.